Chapter 1576, Ling Chen's Hatred. Having been in the North Governor estate for so long, she was unaware that Hong Luan and Ling Chen had a past relationship. In fact, Ling Chen had lost all his face in the East Province, so how could he allow others to gossip about his affairs at their leisure? He issued a command sealing the news, and so Huang Yingying was unaware of their relationship. Hold it. Seeing that Yun Luofeng and company were about to leave, he subconsciously looked up, wanting to grab onto Yun Luofeng's arm. At that moment, that black-robed man with a callous expression coldly swept him a glance, speaking a single word, scram. Poochie. Ling Shuang was blown away, landing inside the inn. Spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, his handsome face was deathly pale. He wanted to stand up but felt an immense pressure and was unable to move, only capable of looking on helplessly at Yun Luofeng and her company leaving. North Province, Governor Estate. Ling Chen furiously swept the teacups on the floor and angrily shouted. Scram, get lost. The servant maids were scared, not daring to utter a single word as they hastily retreated. Suddenly, footsteps sounded, and just as Ling Chen wanted to flare up, he swallowed his words after spotting the man stepping into his room, while his face was still ashen. HMPH, weren't you searching for your beloved? Why, you still know to return. Ling Shuang tightly clenched his fist. Big brother, are you acquainted with a white-robed lady? White-robed lady? In that instant, an extremely gorgeous appearance surfaced in his mind, and it was that face that caused him to gnash his teeth in hatred. Why are you asking about this? When I went looking for Yingying, I found out she was only a maid, and the lord she was following seemed to be related with Hong Luan. Hong Luan? Ling Chen suddenly looked up, and his eyes stared unwaveringly at the handsome man standing in front. Yun Luofeng, it really is that damned woman. Ling Shuang lowered his eyes. Brother, are you aware of Yun Luofeng's identity? Just an insignificant nobody that coincidentally clicked well with Hong Luan, and so dared to ride roughshod over others. Ling Chen gnashed his teeth, while his eyes looked vicious. Ling Shuang sighed in disappointment. I thought she was some influential family's young miss and intended to force her to acknowledge Yingying as her sister, helping her break away from the slave registry. Unfortunately, her status is also lowly, so how could she possibly help Yingying? Ling Chen turned taciturn, and after a long time, a sinister glint streaked across his eyes. If you want to marry Huang Yingying, it's simple and I have a solution. But the precondition is, you have to help me kill that woman Yun Luofeng. Ling Shuang was somewhat shocked. Help? How should I help? HMPH, did you think I didn't know that father gradually handed the North Governor Estate's authority to you after my body became defective? Now that father isn't in the estate, you have the authority to mobilize the experts in the estate. I want you to dispatch them to kill her. Ling Shuang's expression was incomparably awkward. Big brother, father did this because. Save your explanation. Not being the head of the North Governor Estate isn't important. What I want is to kill Yun Luofeng. Ling Chen's fingernails sunk into his flesh, and fresh blood flowed out, but he was completely unaware. After you help me, I'll provide you a way that will allow father to accept both of you. Thinking it through, Ling Chen nodded in agreement. All right, big brother, I will comply with you on this. Chapter 1577, False Accusation 1. On the streets of the North Province, a beautiful scene attracted everyone's attention, with a man and woman walking through the center of the streets. The female's white robes were purer than snow, looking devastatingly gorgeous. Her appearance was slightly bewitching as her pair of pitch-black eyes radiated a luster. The man standing beside her was handsome and callous, while his black robes were similar to an eagle's feathers at night, and looked dangerous and sharp. It was reasonable to say that Huang Yingying was also considered an exceptional beauty, but she appeared dim and without color while standing behind them. Hold it! Two bodyguards near the city gates had instantly obstructed their pathway after noticing their arrival. The road ahead is to the Beast Province. Without the governor's commands, no one is allowed through. The guard's expression was cold and detached, unmovable like a mountain. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng quirked her brow and met Yun Xiao's gaze with a smile. What do you think of handing them to me to deal with? Okay. Whoosh. Just as Yun Xiao spoke, the ground beside her trembled. Soon after, a tattered puppet appeared by her side. Yun Yi, kill everyone without exception. Kill everyone without exception. These few words were particularly domineering and incomparable arrogant. Yunyi expressionlessly dashed towards the two guards and launched a fist with a loud bang. The guards who were defending the city gates were immediately sent flying and they crashed heavily on the gates. Who has such nerve to cause trouble here in the North Province? Boom. Suddenly, a powerful energy came from the sky. Not long after that, an elder streaked across the sky, hastily arriving and standing upright before young Luo Feng. At the same time, footsteps rapidly sounded, and an army of troops had encircled young Luo Feng and company shortly after. I've worn out Iron's shoes in fruitless searching, but now I've found you without even having to search. I didn't expect that you'd dare to come to our North Province territory. Ha ha ha. A haughty and sinister laugh like a cold wind blowing through the leaves entered young Luo Feng's ears. The troops dispersed and in that instant, Ling Chen and Ling Shuang walked over through the air, standing before young Luo Feng and her company. Ling Shuang spotted Huang Yingying standing behind young Luo Feng in a glance and hastily spoke. Yingying, hurry and come to my side, I will protect you from getting injured. Facing Ling Shuang's urgent look, Huang Yingying sneered and a mocking smile surfaced on her lips. She straightforwardly turned away, not sparing him another glance. Ling Shuang was angry and anxious at the same time. He really couldn't understand why Huang Yingying's temper was so unyielding. She'd rather stay as a maid than become the governor estate's lady. Everyone, Ling Chen turned to the crowd spectating and his eyes contained a sinister glint. This girl named Huang Yingying was specifically instigated by someone to seduce my little brother. Furthermore, she has stolen our estate's wealth. Only a few people knew of Ling Chen's experience in the East Province. Therefore, in everyone's eyes, Ling Chen still had a good character. Right now, after hearing Ling Chen's words, everyone revealed disbelief. Such a beautiful girl was actually a thief. And was even so courageous as to steal from the governor estate. Big brother, what do you mean? Ling Shuang's expression thoroughly changed. This was different from what you promised. Ling Chen smirked. Second brother, I'm doing this for your own good, and I don't wish for you to be entrapped by a little maid. All the elders present are also unwilling to let you commit such a mistake. Chapter 1578. False Accusation 2. Even though the governor has gradually handed the authority to Ling Shuang, but how could a little maid assume the position of the future governor's wife? As such, facing Ling Shuang's pleading gaze, all the elders acted blind without a change in their expression. HMPH, thieves should be sentenced to death. The gray-robed elder coldly snorted and overlooked young Luo Feng and company. In addition, you dared to attack our men and it's an added crime. Death is insufficient for the crimes you've committed. Elder. Ling Shuang's lips turned pale as his body trembled. His face revealed pain and suffering. He regretted it. Regretted trusting Ling Chen and calling upon the elders. Who would have expected that this bastard Ling Chen wouldn't even let Yingying off? Second brother, Ling Chen sighed and walked to Ling Shuang's side, patting his shoulders. Frankly speaking, there is evidence for everything I've said. Huang Yingying had indeed stolen from our estate. Otherwise, why do you think our father would oppose you? Ling Shuang suddenly shivered and shook his head. Impossible, Yingying isn't someone like that. Hearing his response, Ling Chen subconsciously swept a glance to the gray-robed elder. This elder had the most authority within the estate and so, his words were more credible. Eldest young master is right. Huang Yingying had indeed stolen from the North Governor estate. The elder's voice was hoarse and dry as it slowly sounded. Ling Shuang would be the future governor of the North Province, and to prevent any retaliation in the future, they could only splash dirty water on Huang Yingying. Huang Yingying was stunned. She widened her eyes in astonishment, seemingly not expecting that they would falsely accuse her. Yingying, tell me the truth. Is what they say true? Ling Shuang looked at Huang Yingying in pain as he asked while trembling. Huang Yingying laughed mockingly. Although I don't wish to marry you, I also don't intend to bear the brunt of these false accusations. Ling Shuang, you had better hear this clearly. I've never taken a single copper from your North Governor estate. I'm afraid the stench radiating from the copper coins in your house would contaminate my hands. Kiki, Ling Shuang self-mockingly laughed. Yingying, how many times do you want to deceive me? I remember in the past you told me that you were alone outside to experience the world, but you never told me that you were a maid. He retreated a few steps while his mouth contained a bitter and astringent taste. If I knew you were a maid, perhaps I might not have fallen for you and wouldn't be in such a dilemma. However, why did you hide it from me? Ling Shuang had gone mad. Confronted by Huang Yingying's shouted reply, he felt that everything was all her fault. It was she who had betrayed his love. Huang Yingying slightly trembled. Clearly, she was quite angry. Suddenly, a hand landed on her shoulder, pressing on her trembling body. At the same time, it caused her ice-cold body to warm up. Young Luo Feng's eyes revealed a smile, with her wicked eyes glancing at Ling Shuang. I want to ask you a few questions. First, you've repeatedly claimed that Huang Yingying deceived you, but did you ever ask her identity? Second, you say she stole, but where's the evidence? Ling Shuang shuddered. Indeed, he had never questioned Huang Yingying's identity, but that was because he never expected that she was a maid. Fenger, Yun Xiao knitted his brows as the killing aura in his callous voice became denser. Why waste time with them? His words implied that it would be sufficient to directly deal with them, so why waste time? Chapter 1579, Barbarous Beast Race, Ruling with Usurpation 1. Outside the city gates, a squall was wreaking havoc. An austere killing aura filled the entire skies, causing others to tremble with fear. Ling Shuang suddenly stiffened and looked at the black-robed man stationed at the city gates with fear. Not knowing why, he felt like this man had emerged from the underworld, as his body radiated killing aura. Gucci. Before the gray-robed elder in the sky could react, he saw Yun Xiao's sight locking onto him, and at the same time, an invisible sword penetrated through his body. With a bang, he came crashing down. All the streets were silent. The crowds that were previously looking at Yun Xiao had become fearful after their initial shock. At that moment, everyone swiftly escaped, similar to a flock of birds dispersing, afraid that they would be implicated if they stayed. In an instant, there were only Yun Luo Feng and her group left on the streets other than people from the North Governor estate. Cold sweat flowed from Ling Chen's forehead, revealing a pale expression as his lips faintly trembled. What are you intending to do? If you really kill the North Province Estate's forces, you'll be opposing the entire 7-province continent. Are you sure about this? Within the 7-province continent, glory belonged to everyone, and damage to one province would mean damaging all the other provinces. Regardless of what hidden internal conflicts there were, they would still stand together like the 3 legs of a tripod. If one faction were to be attacked, the other few huge provinces would also treat them as enemies. This was also Ling Chen's last guarantee. Young Luo Feng's smile was languid and unruly, as her wicked eyes glanced at Ling Chen's pale complexion. Even if I don't kill you, would the North Province let us off? Ling Chen hastily nodded. That's right, our grudges will be written off if you let me go. Even though you have the East Province as your backing, don't forget that there's still the West Province, South Province, Central Province, and Spirit Province. He paused for a moment and continued. Do you think you could oppose the other 5 provinces by joining forces with the East Province? Oh right, there's still the Witchcraft tribe. Young Luo Feng staying silent caused Ling Chen's eyes to flicker as he continued his threat. The Witchcraft tribe of the Central Province is very powerful and is equally matched with the Central Province Governor estate. As such, it's equivalent to opposing 6 powerful factions. Witchcraft tribe. Young Luo Feng wickedly laughed. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Ling Chen widened his eyes, and just then, a black flame appeared at his feet with a bang, instantly enveloping his body. His heart-wrenching wails reverberated throughout the skies, causing one's hair to stand on end. Yun Xiao indifferently retracted his hands. He was unhappy that others dared to threaten Yun Luo Feng. Huang Yingying, Yun Luo Feng looked at Huang Yingying. How do you intend to deal with this man? Huang Yingying's body froze and lowered her head. Being silent for a moment, she looked up towards Yun Luo Feng. Miss, even though he trusted others, he's done nothing to harm me, and so I will not kill him. However, he delusionally wanted to harm Miss, so he should be punished by you. Yingying. Ling Shuang's expression turned pale. Never did he imagine that Huang Yingying would be ruthless to such an extent, not caring about his life or death. Huang Yingying bluntly turned her head, not sparing Ling Shuang another glance. She was afraid if she took another look, she couldn't control herself. Yun Yi, cripple Ling Shuang and kill the others. This time, the North Governor's estate had suffered great losses. Countless powerful elders had been killed, with one of the young masters dead and the other injured. For the North Governor Estate of the North Province, this was the most painful setback they ever experienced, and they might not be able to recover even after several decades. Chapter 1580. Barbarous Beast Race, Ruling with Usurpation 2. Yun Xiao, Yun Luo Feng lazily stretched and leaned on Yun Xiao's shoulders with a smile. I'm tired. Then take a rest, we'll be arriving in the Beast Province in a moment's time. Yun Xiao gazed at the young lady on his shoulders with lowered eyes and lifted her up. With a whoosh, his silhouette broke through the city gates rapidly and leapt into the skies. Their long hair flew in the wind, and with her white dress and his black robes fluttering in the skies, it was as beautiful as a painting. Huang Yingying blinked her eyes in amazement. Just as she wanted to chase them, she saw Yun Luofeng glancing at the puppet. After that, Yun Yi picked up Huang Yingying in both arms and chased towards Yun Luofeng at lightning speed. As a puppet, he was naturally unable to traverse across the skies, but at the same time, he wouldn't get tired. He ran at high speed on the ground, to the extent that Huang Yingying, who was carried by him, was seeing stars and almost about to faint. As one of the main cities of the Beast Province, the Beast City was naturally bustling with noise and excitement. On every street, there were beasts hurtling past, and this scenery couldn't be seen in other huge provinces. At present, those of the beast race who were walking in the town suddenly saw a man and woman walking through the city gates and couldn't help but stop their tracks. Both of them were unusually outstanding. The man was handsome and callous, while the woman was devastatingly gorgeous. Even the Fox clan, who were known for their good looks, couldn't be compared to them. Quickie, hurry and report to the eldest princess that humans have come. Beast City was different from other huge provinces. The main city would usually be in the middle of the province, but Beast City was actually the first city one had to go through after stepping into the Beast Province. There was no governor estate within this Beast Province, but instead, various kinds of clans were established here. For example, in this Beast City, the monarch would be the rumored barbarous Leopard clan. The eldest princess they mentioned was the first daughter of the Leopard King. It was said that the Leopard clan's eldest princess was unreasonable and loved handsome men. Any man who she took a fancy to wouldn't be able to escape from her palms. Other than the man she took a fancy to a few days back, who had been snatched by her sister. As cannibalism within the clan was restricted, she could only swallow her anger. Clop clop clop. A wave of footstep sounds came from the front. Yun Xiao, who was currently conversing with Yun Luofeng, glanced at the troops heading towards them with a cool eye. Standing in the lead was an unruly, gorgeous, bare-chested woman with a javelin in her hands. Domineeringly sweeping a glance at the black-robed handsome man, greed streaked across her eyes. She had seen plenty of humans, but he was the first one who was so outstanding. Even the foxy man her sister snatched away couldn't compare with this man. Hey, thinking of that, the beautiful woman stroked her chin and spoke exuberantly, "In the future, you belong to me. Other than me, there cannot be other women alongside you. Therefore, men," she shouted and coldly said, "kill all the women, and as for the men, bring them all back. I don't like people who have contaminated my men to exist in this world." Although Yun Yi's looks were ordinary, with scars all over his body, he seemed tall and sturdy. She reckoned that his skills in bed should be pretty good. Chapter 1581. Barbarous Beast Race, Ruling with Usurpation 3. As for Yun Luofeng and Huang Yingying, she snorted disdainfully at the gorgeous women. She only wanted men, and women were unable to escape death. Furthermore, she would never allow any women to delusionally think of contaminating her men. "I understand, Your Imperial Highness." In an instant, numerous bodyguards of the Leopard clan had surrounded Yun Luofeng and company while their javelins were aimed towards them. Yun Xiao tugged Yun Luofeng into his embrace, while his callous gaze swept past the guards surrounding them. A chilly glint streaked across while his killing aura spread out, enveloping the entire street. Bang! Bang bang bang! No one witnessed how Yun Xiao attacked, but the first row guards suddenly exploded. Soon after, a blood fog diffused before everyone's eyes, and they could smell a bloody stench. The princess's face suddenly sank and she snorted. "Foolish humans! On our Leopard clan's territory, you only need to obey us, yet you dared to kill our bodyguards. If it weren't for your looks, I would personally dismember you into pieces." "Elder sis." Just then, a clear voice sounded. "You're here snatching human men again." Just as Yuan Xiao raised his hands, powerful spirit energy gradually converged within his palms. However, before he managed to attack her, a lily-white hand suddenly reached out and tightly held his hand. Yuan Xiao, don't attack first. Let's wait and see. The influence of the Beast Province was very strong, as even other provinces couldn't defeat them by joining forces. Young Luo Feng didn't know the strength of Yuan Xiao's faction, so she held Yuan Xiao back temporarily to wait and see. If worst came to worst, it wouldn't be too late to take action. She wasn't someone who was willing to lose out, but at the same time, she wasn't overly rash. Unless she was completely confident. Why are you here? The princess turned to look at the young lady, revealing a trace of loathing. This young lady had a similar appearance to the princess, but on her originally gorgeous face, there was a vertical scar that disfigured her looks. Within the Beast Province that was renowned for having beauties, she was an exception. The young lady lightly frowned and asked, "Elder sister, relationships should be mutual. Why are you always stealing someone else's man?" "HMPH. The princess snorted. "Those that I fancy, I will never let them go. Yila, I'd advise you not to meddle in my affairs, or else I won't be as nice as before." Yin Li smiled disapprovingly. "What if I insist on meddling? Then don't blame me for being impolite." Within the Leopard clan, even though the eldest princess was the most beautiful and more doted on by the Leopard King, the one with better talent was this little princess. Although the little princess was young, her strength was on par with the eldest princess. In time, her strength would surpass the eldest princess. Unfortunately, the little princess's appearance had been disfigured. Otherwise, she would definitely be the most popular woman in Beast City. "You," the eldest princess clenched her teeth in anger. "Yila, I yielded in regards to that man you fancied previously, but if you intend to vie with me again, don't blame me from complaining to father." Yila smiled and ignored the eldest princess. She walked towards Yun Luofeng slowly, revealing a polite and friendly smile. "Miss Yun, since you've come to Beast City, you're our guest and I won't allow others to be rude to you." Chapter 1582, Prince Consort 1. Yun Luofeng frowned. "This Leopard clan's youngest princess knows my identity." Thinking of this, Yun Luofeng turned vigilant against her, and Yuan Xiao hugged her in his embrace as his cold eyes gazed at the woman. "Miss Yun, don't be too nervous. I've heard about you from Hu Li." "Hu Li?" Yun Luofeng and Yuan Xiao met each other's gaze before shifting their line of sight towards Yila. "You know Hu Li?" "Hu Li is," Yila somewhat embarrassingly lowered her head. "He's my husband." Similar to lightning striking down, Yun Luofeng was shocked on the spot. Having disappeared for so long, he had actually become a prince consort among the beast race. As it turns out, the man both princesses were fighting over was also him. "My husband guessed that Miss Yun would definitely come to the Beast Province and especially drew a painting of you and requested for me to be alert. After I saw you earlier on, I couldn't help but come to your aid." Compared to the barbarous eldest princess of the Leopard clan, this little princess's speech made her comfortable. Yun Luofeng paused before saying, "I would like to meet Hu Li." "Sure, Miss Yun, please follow me." Yila saluted towards Yun Luofeng with the beast race's etiquette before walking towards the palace. The moment she was in front of the eldest princess, her footsteps paused and a slight smile surfaced on her face. "Elder sister, they are my guests and I hope you can be more courteous. Otherwise, don't blame me for disregarding our relationship." The eldest princess trembled from rage and tightly clenched her fists. Her eyes filled with rage stared intently at Yila. This darn girl was opposing her in all aspects. She could forget about Hu Li, but this man was so outstanding that she would never let him go. "Ah!" Suddenly, the eldest princess felt pain on her face and screeched. She tightly covered her face because of the incessant pain. "Princess!" The guards came to her side with haste and after witnessing her appearance, they were clearly shocked. "What are you staring blankly for? Hurry and take a look at my face. Why is it so painful?" Looking at the eldest princess's furious look, a female guard hesitated for a long time before fishing out a mirror from her lapel. The eldest princess did not have time to question the guard about carrying a mirror, because in that instant she saw her appearance in the mirror. "Ah!" Looking at her face covered with rashes, she screeched and fainted. As for the commotion caused by the princess, Yun Luofeng and her company acted as though they had nothing to do with it. Only Yuan Xiao looked at Yun Luofeng with a smile in his eyes. He was the only one who had noticed Yun Luofeng's actions. His wife was truly the type that wasn't willing to lose out. The beast race princess took pride in her appearance and so she had disfigured her. However, what he loved deeply was this trait of young Luo Feng, wasn't it? We've arrived. This is our leopard clan's palace. Yila paused her steps and turned towards young Luo Feng with a faint smile as she gently announced. Yun Xiao. Before entering the palace, young Luo Feng frowned and spoke in a volume only both of them could hear. I don't know if Yila can be trusted, but I have to make this trip. As such, we have to be vigilant to prevent accidents. After all, this was the first time she met Yila, so how could she easily trust her? In order to find Hu Li and Wu, she had willingly dared to take the risk. Chapter 1583, Prince Consort 2. No one can harm you. Yun Xiao spoke in all seriousness. If the leopard clan intends to harm you, then there's no need for them to exist. Young Luo Feng smiled but did not pay much attention to Yun Xiao's words. She walked through the dazzling entrance and was constantly on guard. Luckily, nothing unexpected happened along the way. They entered the rear garden unimpeded and just then, the man seated in the pavilion suddenly registered in her eyes. Young Luo Feng. At the same time, Hu Li also noticed her and joy surfaced in his eyes. His figure rapidly flashed across the distance and appeared before them. As expected, you're here. She shot a glance behind Hu Li but did not notice the petite figure and couldn't help but frown. Where's Wu? The little child she addressed as Wu was the boy she picked up on the road previously and tasked Hu Li to take care of. Hu Li's body stiffened and lowered his head in guilt. I'm sorry but I lost him. Lost? Young Luo Feng quirked her brow and asked. Hu Li bitterly smiled. After finding out that Hong Luan went to the Beast Province, I brought Wu along with me. I didn't think that we would encounter danger when going through the desert and I lost him as a result. No worries, if that fella really has treacherous intentions, he will appear again. Young Luo Feng shrugged her shoulders and said with a fake smile, Hu Li, can you explain to me how you became the leopard clan's prince consort? Hu Li coughed dryly, with an awkward expression on his face. When I first entered Beast City, I suffered from the eldest princess's pestering. To save me, Princess Yila acted as though she had taken a fancy to me. Otherwise, he figured that he would have become a member of the eldest princess's harem. Thinking of this, Hu Li couldn't help but shudder, as he expressed loathing with all his might. Princess Yila promised to help me seek for Wu and take note of your appearance. Therefore, I stayed here. How did you know I would definitely come to Beast City? Young Luo Feng stroked her chin and continued asking. Hu Li cast a seductive glance at her. With your personality, how would you not appear when Hong Luan is missing in this Beast City? Boom. Unexpectedly after Hu Li finished speaking, a powerful force exploded with a bang, causing him to instantly fly out and crash on the ground in a sorry mess. Yun Xiao tore his own sleeve and wiped her eyes with while frowning. Yun Xiao, what are you doing? Young Luo Feng took a few steps back and asked. He cast a seductive glance at you earlier on. And then? I was afraid it might stain your eyes. The instant she looked up and saw Yun Xiao's serious expression, her mouth couldn't help but twitch. At that very moment, a wave of footsteps sounded and in the lead was a middle-aged man exuding an imposing aura, with unruliness and resolution. His appearance was handsome and with the bodyguards accompanying him, he appeared even more king-like. Father. Yila's expression faintly changed as she respectfully lowered her head and called out. Yila, you've snatched your sister's man again. The middle-aged man's tone was cold as he spoke with indifference. Father, these are my husband's friends. Therefore. HMPH. The middle-aged man snorted and shot a disgusted glance at Hu Li. For a man, you've opposed your sister again and again. Is he worth it? Hu Li, who had been mentioned by the Leopard King, leisurely found a stone bench and sat down. A rice straw hung from this mouth, making him look like a hooligan. There was a disapproving smile in his seductive phoenix eyes. Chapter 1584, Prince Consort 3. Hu Li's disrespect caused the Leopard King to be more infuriated. Take a look, that's the human man that you've taken a fancy to, without any upbringing in the slightest. Evidently, his friends are all the same, to have not knelt upon my arrival. The Leopard King glanced towards Yun Luo Feng and Yun Xiao company, revealing chilliness from his expression. Yun Xiao, who was looking at Yun Luo Feng, finally looked up and his ice-cold gaze fell on the Leopard King. His black robe fluttered without any wind, and his hands had already gradually stretched out as powerful spirit energy converged in his palms. Father. Yila clenched her teeth. Elder sister tried to snatch a man on the streets. Isn't she the one lacking upbringing? Pa. The Leopard King furiously slapped Yila's face. He trembled from anger towards this daughter of his who failed to live up to his expectations. Who allowed you to be disrespectful to your elders? Do you honestly think I won't punish you? If she hadn't been disfigured, he would definitely favor his younger daughter. Unfortunately, her appearance had been disfigured, and within this beast province that was widely known for its beauties, she was destined to be ridiculed. Boom. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, the Leopard King felt the ground beneath his feet trembling, and he turned pale as he hastily looked at the origin of the aura. Within the violent wind, the man appeared to be a grim killing god, as if stepping through from the underworld. He was walking over while the killing intent radiated from his body caused one to tremble uncontrollably. He radiated a powerful aura from his body, and pieces of the surrounding building had been sent flying into the sky, spreading out over the entire azure skies. Following that, they had crashed down with a bang in everyone's sight. As the Leopard King was right in the middle of the turbulence, he fainted on the spot. All the bodyguards rapidly recovered their senses and hastily dashed towards the Leopard King. The king has fainted. Save the king. In this instant, no one paid attention to Yun Xiao and company. Even the king had been struck unconscious by him with a strike, so how could they deal with this terrifying man? Yila's mouth widened in astonishment. It seems that she never expected Hu Li's friends to be so powerful. Soon after that, she became worried as she said, Hu Li, although your friend is powerful, various clans are interconnected in this beast province. Once a clan falls into a human's hands, the other clans will initiate an attack towards them. She paused for a moment and continued. Do you know why our beast city is the nearest to the North Province? That's because our beast city's strength is the lowest, as the other clans are more powerful than us. In particular, the mysterious dragon and phoenix clan are placed above various huge clans. This was the matter Yila was most worried about. You're tired. Yun Xiao turned towards Luo Feng. His speech was not of questioning but an affirmative sentence. Therefore, I'll take you to get some rest. Okay. Luo Feng smiled. With Yun Xiao by her side, she felt at ease. Hu Li, are you about to leave? Looking at Luo Feng and Yun Xiao's departing figure, Yila pursed her lips and her tone contained reluctance to see him go. Hu Li did not perceive her peculiarity and said, probably. Actually, if you're looking for someone, I can help you. As long as he could stay for a period of time. Hu Li was stunned for a moment. I've bothered you for too long and this can't continue. Since Luo Feng is here, I will depart together with them to search for Hong Luan. Yila sighed. She understood that she was incapable of making him stay. Chapter 1585. Yun Xiao's Faction 1. Phoenix Clan. Above the volcano, cries of a blazing phoenix could be heard, echoing throughout the entire mountain peak. Within the mountain, the elder who was originally seated cross-legged had suddenly opened his eyes in pleasant surprise. The Lord has returned. Several years ago, the Phoenix clan had encountered a huge calamity, causing countless experts to be annihilated. It was at that time when a black-robed man appeared out of nowhere like a god and resolved their crisis. From then on, they had referred him as the Phoenix clan's lord, and unfortunately, he had disappeared without a trace. Unexpectedly, the Flame Phoenix dispatched to search for him had arrived with news that the man had appeared. This mind-blowing news caused a sensation in the entire Phoenix clan. At the same time, before the Dragon clan's altar, a white-haired man was currently seated cross-legged with his eyes shut. Even though he was handsome, it couldn't conceal the hardships of life that he had experienced. And, all of a sudden, he opened his eyes and a trace of joy appeared among his lethargy. Men, summon all the elders of the Dragon clan. This lord has something to announce. Yes, your majesty. A figure faded and very soon, disappeared without a trace. The man stood up from his seat, and with his hands behind his back, he hastily went towards the clan hall. Within the clan hall, all the elders were already quietly waiting, and after spotting the white-haired man, they all hurriedly stood up and respectfully said, "We wonder what instructions does your majesty have, by summoning all of us?" The white-haired man walked up to his seat with big strides, as his stern and sharp expression surveyed his surroundings. I've summoned you here to announce something. He paused for a moment and continued, our dragon clan's ancestor has returned. Ancestor. Everyone turned pale from shock and some even stood up, with unconcealed excitement on their faces. Your Majesty, are your words the truth? Our ancestor has returned. That's right, the white-haired man lightly nodded. 1,000 years ago, our ancestor had provoked a matchless powerful expert. He claimed that he had to leave the dragon clan in order to lead that expert away and guarantee our clan's safety. After mentioning those past events, the white-haired man couldn't help but be sentimental. Unfortunately, our ancestor's guess was wrong and that expert did not chase him down but instead came and wrecked our clan. However, our ancestor's spirit of abandoning self for others is what we have to learn from. Your Majesty, it's better if you inform us where the ancestor is so that we can welcome him back. Actually, I don't know his specific location as my spirit isn't powerful enough and can only spread throughout the Beast Province. If our ancestor is outside this range then I am unable to locate him. However, just a moment ago, a single strand of my spirit sensed his existence. He has returned. The white-haired man became increasingly excited, and his eyes were filled with tears. Your Majesty, in the current dragon clan, only you have met the ancestor and none of us know what he looks like. How should we go about searching for him? An elder questioned. Indeed, in order to locate the dragon clan's ancestor, the white-haired man's life was similar to an oil lamp about to dry up. Although a spirit beast's lifespan was very long and even weaker beasts could live up to 1,000 years, it did not mean that their lifespan wouldn't dry up. Unless their strength was at the pinnacle, there would come a day when their lifespan was used up. Chapter 1586. Craven and Cowardly Little Bug. Consequently, although the white-haired man maintained his youthful looks and even his physique had not declined, that was due to him overdrafting his lifespan in order to make the dragon clan willing to serve him. In fact, he was already unable to step out of the clan, and so could only rely on various elders to search for their ancestor. I've considered this question before and so I have especially drawn the ancestor's portrait. You'll be able to locate him according to this portrait. The white-haired man mysteriously smiled and fished a portrait out from his chest, placing it on the table. The portrait was slowly opened and in that instant, the portrait of the dragon clan's ancestor was seen by all the elders. How should they say this? Their ancestor's appearance was somewhat unexpected. A tiny green bug was drawn on the painting, with a transparent body and a pair of huge eyes that looked cute. If they didn't know of his identity beforehand, perhaps everyone would regard it as a harmless little bug. Your Majesty, the elders looked up collectively and their shocked gaze landed on the white-haired man. Are you sure that this is our dragon clan's ancestor? Why does he look so different? Not only did it not look like their ancestor, clearly it didn't even look like a dragon. A small thing like that actually had the strength to control the dragon clan. At that time when the ancestor was still present, I was young but I saw him from a distance. He's indeed our ancestor and is extremely formidable. The white-haired man's eyes were filled with adoration and reverence. His expression was just like worshipping his own god. In the dragon clan's heart, the ancestor was just like a god in their hearts, and a selfless one. Your Majesty, witnessing the white-haired man's expression, the elders took the portrait and respectfully said, please rest assured that we will definitely locate the ancestor and bring him back. The white-haired man faintly smiled and spoke in a gentle tone, I feel confident handing this matter over to all of you. After the ancestor returns, I'll be able to rest in peace. In a guest room within Beast City, young Luo Feng leaned on Yuan Xiao's shoulders while playing with Little Bug in her hands. Little Bug dared to be angry but didn't say it out loud. He could only restrain his grievance and allow young Luo Feng to handle him. If he hadn't reached an agreement with Yuan Xiao in order to leave that place, he wouldn't be suffering so miserably. Yuan Xiao, what are Little Bug's origins? Why was he at the God Burial Mountain? Young Luo Feng quirked her brow and asked while beaming with a big smile. Yuan Xiao expressionlessly turned towards Little Bug. Although he hadn't spoken, he revealed his intentions with his expressions. The little bug felt wronged yet he didn't dare to resist and could only honestly reply, in the past, I accidentally provoked a deity-level expert. Deity-level expert? Young Luo Feng was startled. A deity-level existence existed on this continent. That deity-level expert's strength was too terrifying so I escaped. Of course, how could a powerful dragon like me tell others I was escaping? Therefore, I informed my clansmen that I provoked an expert, and to prevent bringing calamity to the clan, I would bear the responsibility of leading that expert away. When he spoke, Little Bug had a complacent expression, similar to being proud of his own intellect. That expert couldn't find my location, so he wrecked my territory. Frankly speaking, I knew about that expert's personality, and he would at the most damage some buildings and not harm my clansmen. This was the reason why I had escaped with ease. Chapter 1587, Hong Luan 1. Little Bug held his head high, completely not thinking that his actions were disgraceful. From his point of view, letting others know he was being chased would cause his status to be lowered. How did you offend that deity-leveled expert? A smile could be seen in young Luo Feng's eyes. Little Bug stiffened and had an awkward expression. His mouth twitched a few times, and his expression was just as if this topic was extremely embarrassing. Fenger, do you prefer it grilled or steamed? Yun Xiao's voice was merciless, and anyone could detect that he was very unhappy that Little Bug hadn't answered young Luo Feng's questioning. Little Bug's expression instantly paled. He originally wanted to bluff his way through, but after sensing Yun Xiao's callous glance, he shuddered. If it was others, perhaps his lies would be effective. However, he had already reached an agreement with this man, and Yun Xiao would see through it if he spoke even a single lie. Many years ago, I got to know a deity-level expert, but we were only considered casual acquaintances. However, Little Bug's expression turned even more unsightly. There was once when I was having my afternoon nap and that bastard did not notice my presence. After I had been shocked awake, I found that I was buried in his excrement. In a fit of anger, I enlarged my body and pierced into his. Us. Young Luo Feng's fingers froze and her expression also turned to embarrassment. She took a deep breath, to resist the impulse of throwing Little Bug outside. Mistress, don't you think that bastard was too much? Little Bug complained angrily. He first used a lump of excrement to bury me and I only burst into his anus out of anger. Was there a need to chase me all the way to my clan? Young Luo Feng shot a glance at Little Bug. You should rejoice that he only chased you. Little Bug blinked his eyes, looking at young Luo Feng blankly. What did mistress mean? He actually had to rejoice being chased down. Young Luo Feng paused and continued speaking. Luckily he didn't fall in love with you due to this. Little Bug revealed a stupid look, seemingly not understanding what she meant. Suddenly, a large hand stretched out from the side, grabbed Little Bug, and forcefully threw him out the window. Yun Xiao pulled young Luo Feng's shoulders with force, making her face himself. His cold eyes were currently overflowing with a grievance. He occupied too much of your time. To the extent that, he wanted to slaughter that bug. This was the first time Yun Xiao regretted bringing along Little Bug. Although young Luo Feng hadn't said it out loud, she was in fact, quite fond of this bug, and this made Yun Xiao jealous. Looking at the man before her, young Luo Feng chuckled and pressed Yun Xiao on the bed. Yun Xiao, you're jealous of a spirit beast. Young Luo Feng narrowed her eyes and a dangerous glint streaked across. Sensing two soft lumps on his chest, lust clouded his mind. He then pulled her arm and flipped her over, pressing her down on the bed and kissed her lips, causing her to grab onto the bed sheets. The man's lips were very thin and cold yet overbearing. Flames of lust could be faintly seen in his eyes and seemingly able to literally cause one to burn from desire. With their clothing taken off, there were only two figures continuously in a tangle on the huge bed, and the room was filled with an exquisite scene. Chapter 1588, Hong Luan 2. Yila, get the hell out here right now. The next day, a furious shout echoed through the entire palace. Just as Yila was getting dressed with the palace maid's help, she saw a woman covered with a veil across her face rushing in. Yi Li, who jumped from shock, had relaxed after hearing the woman's voice. Elder sister, why have you come looking for me? Yila, you sure are bold to bring outsiders to deal with the leopard clan. In addition, they injured father. My face must have also been their mischief. The eldest princess trembled with rage and her slender fingers furiously pointed at Yila. Her appearance of gnashing her teeth in anger was just like she was about to dismember Yila. Yila gently smiled. Elder sister, father was injured by some falling objects and no one had attacked him. As for you, maybe you have been infected with some disease, so don't even think about framing someone. The eldest princess's complexion became increasingly unsightly. Although everyone knew that their father getting injured was related to Yun Xiao, who had seen him attacking. Could Yun Xiao overpower their father just relying on his aura? Was this even possible? Yila, just you wait. I'll make you regret this. The eldest princess fiercely flung her sleeves and walked out. Yila sneered as she gazed at her back. She wasn't stupid and knew that her face getting injured at that time was caused by her elder sister. As everyone knew, spirit beasts' nature were simple and wouldn't fight and scheme against each other. However, those were spirit beasts that resided in the mountains and woods for long and hadn't had dealings with humans, thus they hadn't learned how to be scheming. Now that the beast province had progressed, how could the residents here be as simple and naive as other spirit beasts? Any simple living beings would no longer be white paper after being dyed. Within the rear court, the moment the eldest princess stepped in, a group of handsome men had surrounded her. They were acting like concubines of an emperor and encircled around the princess, waiting for her love and pampering. Get lost! The eldest princess snorted and kicked their chests as she furiously shouted. One man's appearance was rather handsome, with an ascetic bearing. On normal occasions, it was also his appearance that caused him to be pampered by the princess. However, after meeting a man of Yun Xiao's standards, the eldest princess actually felt that the male concubines in her rear court were ugly and would make her want to puke if she took another glance. Since this man has rejected me, then I must obtain him. The eldest princess licked her lips while revealing greed. In Beast City, no matter it was spirit beast or humans, no one could escape from her charms. Her status was respectable and with a peerless appearance, no male could even resist her enticement. There were only two men who dared to reject her. The first was Hu Li, and the second was that callous black-robed man. The more she was rejected, the more she wanted to obtain them, and she would not hesitate using any methods to have them. The eldest princess walked into her room and closed the door. After commanding her bodyguards to leave, she walked to her bed and carefully took out a scroll from under her pillow. She took the scroll, and slowly set it on fire using the flame of a candle. Among the rising smoke, a blue dragon figure could be seen. Its expression contained dominance and arrogance, looking down at the eldest princess as if looking at a cockroach. Within its blue eyes, no one would be worthy. Why are you looking for me? Chapter 1589, Hong Luan 3. The dragon's tone was cold as it looked down on the eldest princess. Dragon Lord, the eldest princess felt joy and hastily said, recently I've encountered a few humans, and a female named Luo Feng among them has the flame spirit fruit you're looking for. The fate between the eldest princess and this dragon was something that happened many years ago. In those days, the young eldest princess was learning through experience outside and incidentally encountered a heavily injured dragon. She had saved this dragon in order to obtain a friendly relationship with the dragon clan. Before the dragon left, it had given the eldest princess this scroll, and if she were to encounter danger, she could use this scroll to summon him. Flame spirit fruit, you're certain about that? The dragon's eyes suddenly brightened. Hearing its response, the eldest princess's eyes twinkled. Unfortunately, this flame spirit fruit has been consumed by that woman. HMPH, so what if she has consumed it? The flame spirit fruit isn't that easily digested. After I've located and killed her, I'll be able to extract the fruit by dissecting her organs. The dragon's voice contained disdain. However, in recent days, our king has passed down commands that the whole dragon clan has to search for our ancestor. I have no time to extract the flame spirit fruit, so you shall deliver that woman here to the dragon clan. The moment he finished speaking, his figure disappeared. The eldest princess was completely flabbergasted. Using up her sole life-saving opportunity had only given her such a result. If she could deal with Luo Feng herself, would she have to seek for him? The fact that the dragon would be unable to find the flame spirit fruit in Luo Feng's body was no longer in her scope of consideration, as she had gone mad from jealousy. What right did the type of woman have to such an outstanding man? Even if she couldn't obtain him, she would never allow Luo Feng to have him. However, at present, how should she deceive Luo Feng to go to the dragon clan? It seems like this method isn't useful. The eldest princess's eyes darkened. Right now, the only method to deal with them is to seek for other beast races' help. Thinking of this, she pushed the door and walked out. Men, inform the Fox clan, Falcon clan, Wolf Clan, and various other large clans that there are humans who came forth to provoke us. In addition, they injured my father and we require everyone's help. I understand, eldest princess. The bodyguard cupped his hands and retreated. Under the azure skies, Yila impatiently looked at Hu Li standing before her. Are you honestly leaving? Hu Li nodded. Princess Yila, please take care of yourself. At this moment, young Luo Feng and Yun Xiao walked out. Shooting a glance at the young lady who was reluctant to part with Hu Li, she smirked in a teasing manner. However, she did not say anything concerning that, merely turning towards Hu Li and slowly saying, Hu Li, we should set off. All right. Hu Li did not notice Princess Yila's peculiarity and smiled seductively. Originally wanting to walk beside young Luo Feng, he tactfully retreated after meeting with Yun Xiao's cold expression. They walked out of the arched door very soon. Princess Yila looked on helplessly at Hu Li leaving and was tempted to speak up, hoping they could bring her along, but alas, she was unable to say anything. Oh right. Young Luo Feng suddenly stopped and threw a porcelain bottle towards Princess Yila with a wave of her hand. The herbal plaster in that bottle can treat your scar. Remember to apply it every morning and night. Princess Yila stared blankly and tightly held onto the porcelain bottle in her hands. Biting on her lips, she said, thank you. After young Luo Feng and company walked out the palace gates, this news was also transmitted to the eldest princess and she suddenly stood up. Chapter 1590. Hong Luan 4. What did you say? Those humans have left. She tightly clenched her fist. I didn't expect they would leave just like that. However, there's no concern as the Beast Province is the Spirit Beast's territory. They won't be able to escape. Concurrently in a cavern of the Dragon Clan, a faint smile surfaced on the blue-robed man's face as his gentle gaze spilled out and landed on the woman laying on the ice bed. This woman's appearance was gorgeous, capable of ruining and overturning states, and her aggressiveness could be seen. At this moment, the red-robed lady had been firmly confined in the ice bed, unable to move a single step. She could only use her eyes filled with fury to glare intently at the blue-robed man, and the fury apparent in her eyes seemed to be able to burn him to ashes. The blue-robed man reached out, wanting to touch her face, but her temper was so fierce that she bit his outstretched fingers. The man sucked in a cold breath from pain, yet did not rebuke her. In contrary, he had a gentle expression while looking at her. Hong Luan, why are you doing this? Isn't being my wife a good thing? Get lost. The red-robed lady furiously shouted. I feel revulsion whenever I see your face. Hong Luan, have you heard? I've located the flame spirit fruit and with that, I can save you. Hearing his words, the red-robed lady sneered with a ridiculing smile. Who was the one who landed me in such a state? Hong Luan, I had fallen for you previously and wanted you to bear my child. I didn't expect such an incident to happen. The blue-robed man frowned, carrying guilt on his handsome face. Unfortunately, I don't fancy you. She had to increase her strength and avenge young Luo Feng. She would never stay here to become a dragon's wife. Evidently, Hong Luan was still unaware of the news of young Luo Feng being alive. Hong Luan, you will be my wife and I'll have you bear a complete child, not a half-beast. Once a human and spirit beast consummated their relationship, the child they produced would be a half-beast, and regardless of its talent or life expectancy, there would be a huge difference. He would never allow his own child to be a half-beast. There was only one method available in order for Hong Luan to bear a complete child, and that method was extremely dangerous. Otherwise, Hong Luan wouldn't have to rely on this ice bed to survive. However, what he couldn't understand was why Hong Luan was unwilling to accept such an outstanding dragon like himself. Hong Luan tightly clenched her fist but felt powerless. If my friend is still alive, she'll definitely come looking for me, and if she's here, she'll take me away even if she has to overturn your entire dragon clan. If young Luo Feng is still alive, she will definitely rescue me. Hong Luan lowered her eyes, concealing the grief and sadness in her eyes. As long as she recalled her old friend's death, she would still feel a heart-wrenching pain. Hong Luan, the blue-robed man couldn't help but chuckle. Are you joking with me? Are you unaware of what kind of existence my dragon clan is? If your friend truly dares to barge in, there will be no future for her. Hong Luan coldly smiled and straightforwardly shut her eyes, not caring about this man before her. Young Luo Feng, if you are still alive, I believe you'll definitely come to rescue me. The blue-robed man glanced at Hong Luan, revealing a helpless expression. He turned towards the bodyguard and said, retrieve the flame spirit fruit in Beast City. I don't completely trust that princess. By the way, the woman who has the fruit seems to be called Yun Luo Feng. Chapter 1591, Wind Chasing Alliance 1. Yun Luo Feng, Hong Luan shuddered but instantly regained her calm. Impossible. This Yun Luo Feng absolutely could not be the Yun Luo Feng that she knew. It was nothing but a coincidence. Although the hope in Hong Luan wanted to burst out, she harshly suppressed it to the bottom of her heart. She was afraid that she would get excited for nothing in the end. Beast Province. Inside the overgrown mountainous forest, people were a rare sight and even spirit beasts were not seen. Hence, Yun Luo Feng was not yet aware of the commotion she had caused in Beast Province. Human. A sneaky little head peeked out from a tree and looked at Yun Luo Feng and her group in astonishment. Are you a newly arrived human in Beast Province? Huang Yingying and Hu Li stood on guard beside Yun Luo Feng, cautiously watching the little boy. The little boy might look young, but how could someone who appeared here be someone average? Who are you? Huang Yingying coldly asked with a wrinkle of her eyebrows. I am human, just like you. However, regarding the humans inside Beast Province, those who are ugly are turned into slaves by the beast race while those who are good-looking are overtaken. My dad was the same as you and accidentally stumbled into Beast Province. Fortunately, he had joined the alliance, or perhaps he would have already been snatched by the beast race. Before coming to Beast Province, Yun Luo Feng had learned about the treatment of humans in Beast Province. Although Hong Luan once said that some humans could not resist the temptation of handsome men and beautiful women, there were still some people who were unwilling to be enslaved by the beast race. Hence, the alliance mentioned by the boy must have been created because of this. Have you seen a woman in red called Hong Luan? Yun Luo Feng asked after a moment of contemplation. The boy tilted his head innocently. She is not part of our alliance. If she was a member of the alliance, he would have heard of her. How long has your alliance been established? Yun Luo Feng continued asking. The boy thought about it before answering, about 2 years. 2 years ago, the humans of Beast Province were still in an abyss of suffering, but a man suddenly appeared and established the Wind Chasing Alliance, gathering the humans of Beast Province. Wind Chasing Alliance? Who's the president of the alliance? Yun Luo Feng gently stroked her chin and narrowed her eyes. The alliance doesn't have a president. The founder of the alliance only granted himself the position of vice president. He said that the president had not appeared yet and the Wind Chasing Alliance was established on behalf of his old friend, the boy patiently explained. Then the name of the vice president is? I am not certain, I only know vice president's surname is Nangong. Nangong. Yun Luo Feng was startled but she did not think about this surname too much. After exchanging a glance with Yun Xiao, she turned to face the innocent and adorable boy again. Can you bring us to the alliance? All right. The boy innocently smiled, showing his eye teeth. Vice President isn't in the alliance currently, but the other people inside the alliance are all friendly. Follow me. Seeing the lack of threat from the boy, Hu Li familiarly walked toward the boy and asked with raised brows, little guy, are you half beast? Yes, my dad was previously violated by a spirit beast. When he escaped, he brought me along. The little boy turned to look at Hu Li with a brilliant smile. I like humans a lot, so I followed Dad to the alliance. Chapter 1592, Wind Chasing Alliance 2. The boy's smile was innocent, as though he was a child unversed in the world, easily winning other people's trust. A house appeared in sight not far from them. Willow trees surrounded the house, the branches falling everywhere and encasing the house. When the boy entered, the people who were drinking and chatting merrily discovered him and whistled. Xiaoyan, you have returned. These people are Uncle Tian Feng, Uncle Song Mu, Auntie Xiao Qi. These guests are humans who accidentally stumbled into Beast Province, so I brought them here. A brilliant smile curled on Xiaoyan's face. His smile gave people a comfortable feeling, and his round face was akin to an egg, fair and tender. Oh, Tian Feng raised his eyebrows and stood up. He walked toward Yun Luo Feng with a loud laugh and brightly said, since you are also humans, then I will allow you to join the alliance on behalf of the vice president. Please report your name. My name is Yun Luo Feng. Yun Luo Feng shrugged. This is my man, Yun Xiao. The other two are my subordinates Huang Yingying and Hu Li. Tian Feng and his associates' eyes brightened. The girl in front of them had clothes whiter than snow and a beauty that could ruin cities. Her appearance could contend with that of the beast people. As for Yun Xiao, although his face was icily handsome, he was like a loyal canine who silently guarded the girl beside him. However, the man's aura was very formidable, sending people's heart trembling. Our wind-chasing alliance's main mission is to gather all of the humans of Beast Province to fight the spirit beasts. I guess you were hunted by the spirit beasts, so you escaped here. But that's not important. Now that you have come to Wind-Chasing Alliance, we won't allow any spirit beasts to bully you, Song Mu swore, clapping his chest. I have something that I wanted to ask you. Hu Li lifted his eyebrows. Since you are hunted by the spirit beasts here, why don't you leave Beast Province and head for human territory? What was their objective for remaining here? Leave? Are you kidding? Don't you know that as soon as you leave Beast Province, those who are weak will be directly killed by people of North Province while those who are strong will live the rest of their lives under their monitoring? If it's like that, it's better to take a risk here at Beast Province. The one who spoke was the only woman among the three people. Her smile was cold and full of despair. Xiao Qi. Tian Feng frowned and glanced at Xiao Qi before turning to Yun Luo Feng and amiably said, not long ago, I heard news that the king of the leopard tribe was seriously injured by a human and it angered the other tribes of Beast Province, so those tribes planned to team up and kill the human who injured the leopard king. A human who injured the leopard king? Yun Luo Feng glanced at the emotionless Yun Xiao beside her before quickly looking away. She helplessly shrugged. It appeared something major happened after they left Beast City. Hu Li was swelling with worry and appeared to be pondering something. Yun Luo Feng glanced at him and smiled. Worrying about the little princess of the leopard tribe. Having his thoughts seen through, Hu Li's face froze, and embarrassment covered his face. She is the princess of the leopard tribe. Those people shouldn't hurt her. Although he said this, Hu Li did not have a lot of faith in his heart. Chapter 1593. Wind-Chasing Alliance 3. No one knew the personality of the eldest princess better than him. If she shoved all of the responsibility to Yila, then Yila might lose her life. He did not want to see that. If you are worried, then I will have Yingying accompany you to bring Princess Yila back here. Yun Luo Feng looked up. The beast race's objective is to find Yun Xiao and I, so she shouldn't be in any danger at the moment. If they waited any longer though, then she might be. Yun Luo Feng had Huang Yingying follow her because Huang Yingying had already successfully received her inheritance and her strength skyrocketed, so the beast race would be unable to stop her under normal conditions. Alright, Hu Li directly agreed. He did not have feelings for Yila, but she saved his life, so he could not leave her behind without a care no matter what. Miss Yun, why did your subordinates leave? Song Mu curiously looked at the departing Hu Li and Huang Yingying with an astonished gaze. Yun Luo Feng conducted the conversation just now inside Hu Li and Huang Yingying's mind, so they did not hear her voice. Plus, her vigilance had always been very high, so she would not allow the people in front of them to know her objective even if they were human. Nothing. Yun Luo Feng did not plan to explain any further. Although Song Mu and the others were full of confusion, they did not inquire further. Everyone had something they were unwilling to say, right? The next day, an explosion rang in the house, causing everyone to jump up from their bed with fright. What happened? Song Mu was the first to rush out of his bedroom. The moment he stepped out, he was greeted with a sky covered with aerial beasts, causing cold sweat to pour down his body. What is going on? How did the spirit beasts find this place so fast? At the same time, other people also quickly left their rooms. When they saw the audacious spirit beasts, their face also turned unsightly. Sir Song Mu, was it the people who arrived yesterday? They brought the spirit beasts. Someone in the crowd spoke, eliciting discussions from everyone present. That's right, it must be those people. Moreover, that woman's subordinates left suddenly yesterday. It must have been to report our whereabouts to these spirit beasts. Otherwise, why were the spirit beasts able to find us as soon as they arrived? The people could not help but be suspicious. They had been hiding here for nearly 2 years and had never been discovered by spirit beasts, so how did the beasts find them as soon as these people arrived? At this time, young Luo Feng pushed open her room's door, and her gorgeous figure appeared under the rays of dawn. Yuan Xiao tacitly stood by her side, his icy eyes seeing no one but the girl beside him. Sir Song Mu, I suggest that we should kill this human before the spirit beasts kill us all. Xiao Yan, that punk as well. If it weren't for him bringing these humans back, this wouldn't happen. We should kill him first too. In the crowd, the man who initially vilified young Luo Feng sharply spoke again, glancing at her with a chilly gaze. Xiao Yan's face drained of colors, and he was unable to say anything due to terror. His aggrieved eyes pitifully watched Song Mu. Enough, Song Mu frowned. We don't have any evidence to prove that it was Miss Yun who brought the spirit beasts here. It's unwise to say things like that before we have evidence. Chapter 1594. The Battle Between Human and Beast 1. The man instantly stopped speaking, but his expression retained his dissent. His dark eyes harshly glared at Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao again. Yun Xiao's eyes coldly swept across him. His gaze carried a heavy pressure, similar to a giant rock pressing down on him and making him unable to breathe. His face turned ashen. Yun Xiao quickly retracted his gaze, and his face remained its usual indifference. Miss Yun, these spirit beasts are all very strong. Stay hidden, leave them for us to handle. Tian Feng faintly smiled. When he turned to face the sky, his eyes abruptly sharpened like a sword and he snorted. So what if you found us? Our wind-chasing alliance absolutely cannot coexist with you beasts. Kill. Song Mu waved his hand and everyone in the alliance drew their weapon without a single person cowering. Roar. In the air, a spirit beast released an angry roar and swiftly dived down. He was similar to a fireball, so fast that people were unable to capture his speed. Song Mu hurriedly held his broadsword across his chest and with a bang, the spirit beast's head hit the body of the sword, creating a giant hole in it and causing Song Mu to stagger a few steps back. Not good. The spirit beasts that came this time are all too strong. Logically, why would the beast race send out such formidable experts? Normally, experts were unwilling to personally act and would all order their subordinates to complete the task. However, the beasts who came this time were all formidable presence inside the beast race. Why would these beasts appear due to a wind-chasing alliance? Could there be some unknown reason behind this? Be careful. When Tian Feng turned around, he saw the gigantic flaming lion floating behind Xiao Qi. His figure was like lightning and darted behind Xiao Qi, raising his sword to block the flaming lion's ferociously sharp claws. Clatter. The claws snapped Tian Feng's sword and pierced his chest. Blood rushed out his chest, dyeing his long cyan-colored robe red. Tian Feng coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was stumbling and nearly unable to remain standing. Despair rushed into everyone's heart. Tian Feng was undoubtedly the strongest of this group of people. But if even he was unable to face these powerful beasts, then weren't they merely waiting for death here? It's over. We will certainly be over this time. If Vice President was here, perhaps we would still have the ability to fight back. Everyone's face was pale beyond comparison. It was their first time feeling such immense despair. Even so, no one surrendered to the spirit beasts. They might die, but they did not want to be without their pride. Sister, I'm sorry. Xiao Yan's eyes contained tears as he apologetically said, if I didn't bring you back here, then you wouldn't encounter something like this. Boom. A giant noise came from behind Xuanhuan the second he finished speaking. When Song Mu and the others looked up, they saw a giant gorilla jumping to the back of Xuanhuan. It swung its King Kong-like fists toward the young figure. Watch out! Song Mu shouted with panic. Tian Feng and Xiao Qi were the first to react, and they swiftly dashed toward Xuanhuan. But they were too late. Chapter 1595. The Battle Between Human and Beast 2. The gorilla's fist was about to make contact with Xuanhuan's head. Only one hit would crack his head open and leave him without an intact corpse. Boom. An enormous force emitted from the gorilla's fist and sent dust flying in the air, causing people to choke non-stop. Song Mu and the others' eyes were filled with despair. Before Xuanhuan's father passed away, they all promised him to take care of Xuanhuan. They did not expect to have Xuanhuan encounter danger in front of them. Tian Feng, Song Mu, look. Xiao's eyes pupils dilated as she intently watched the dust clear. A fist several times smaller than the gorilla's steel-like arm was blocking it. It was a battered but still sharply dressed man. No matter how muscled he was still distinctly smaller than the gorilla. Ha ha ha. Delicate laughter was heard from a tree, closely followed by a flaming little girl jumping down. Her appearance frightened the originally relaxed people of the Wind-Chasing Alliance. This is also a spirit beast. The little girl looked innocent and naive, and her delicate face was incredibly cute. If one ignored the powerful and imposing flames emanating from her body, perhaps one could mistake her for a normal child like Xiaoyan. Huahuo, why do you jump down from a tree for your every entrance? A voice came from the earth, stupefying everyone. A milk-colored gold-seeking hamster burrowed out of the earth with countless other gold-seeking hamsters following his lead. Two of the hamsters were the most eye-catching. One of them was a pink-colored hamster while the other had a crown on her head. Aren't you the same? We were clearly dispatched from the same location, but why do you choose the underground every time? Huahuo curled her lips and disdainfully retorted. We are gold-seeking hamsters. Isn't hole digging normal? You are a fox, why do you keep climbing trees for no reason? I like it, why do you care? Huahuo lifted her chin and overbearingly declared. The gorilla could not stand by idly and watch, so he interjected, you must be members of the hamster tribe and fox tribe. Why did you come so late? The people of the Wind-Chasing Alliance felt their hearts sinking. These spirit beasts were hard to handle, to begin with, but there were so many newcomers. The flaming little girl's strength was especially hard to ignore. Although gold-seeking hamsters were considered to be low-leveled spirit beasts, they couldn't overlook the fact that these hamsters could speak human speech. Unfortunately, what threw them into further despair was the sight of the gold-seeking hamster who was making snide remarks at the little girl transforming into a handsome youth. The pink-colored hamster and hamster queen beside him also turned into a human. A gold-seeking hamster who could utter human speech and transform into a human was simply legendary. Fox tribe, the little girl sneered, how could an inferior tribe like that be where I stay? Moreover, I wouldn't mingle with bad company like you brutes. She might have lost a tail, but her talent was still formidable, so how could she be a member of the fox tribe that survived by charming people? Because the gorilla's face was dark, the transformation on his face could not be seen, but anyone could feel the heaven-bursting fury that erupted from him. Roar! He pounded his fists against his chest, and his gaze was extremely ferocious. Since you aren't part of us, then go die. Chapter 1596. The Battle Between Human and Beast 3. The gorilla wanted to go around Yunyi to attack Huahuo, but his path was blocked by Yunyi. He grew angrier and his fists fiercely shot toward Yunyi's chest. At the same time, the other spirit beasts moved again. They wanted to swoop down but Huahuo stopped them with a wall of fire. Some of the beasts couldn't restrain their forward motion fast enough, so they instantly slammed into the wall of fire, which caused them to wail in pain. The people of the Wind-Chasing Alliance were dumbfounded as they watched the Lolita in a fiery red dress, unable to say anything due to their shock. This spirit beast was here to help them. Squeak, squeak. The spirit beasts who previously charged into the crowd had to face the group of gold-seeking hamsters. With the wall of fire here, no one can pass through. Huahuo clapped her hands and turned to look at young Luo Feng with a brilliant smile. Master, this should be enough. Yunyi and the gold-seeking hamsters could handle the other spirit beasts. Master. Everyone instantly looked at young Luo Feng. This spirit beast was her pet. With a powerful trump card like this, no wonder she dared to enter Beast Province. Ha ha ha, you idiotic humans. The gorilla guffawed. Do you think you can subdue the beast race like this? Truly naive and laughable. The two strongest tribes of our beast race have yet to appear. But I have received news that an expert of the Phoenix tribe is on the way here. The faces of the Wind-Chasing Alliance turned ashen. The wall of fire prevented the troop of spirit beasts outside, but it also meant they would be trapped here. When the member of the Phoenix tribe arrived, they still would not escape death. Humph! The gorilla snorted and looked at Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao with contempt. These two humans injured the Leopard King. Our beast race absolutely won't spare any provokers. What? Song Mu turned to look at them, shock clear in his eyes. Why you injured the Leopard King? Yun Xiao was emotionless as his dark eyes coldly watched the gorilla in front of them. An austere aura rushed from him again, sending his black robes madly dancing. At this time, the call of a phoenix rang in the sky, shocking everyone and nearly causing them to stumble to the ground. Phoenixes were affiliated with fire, so they naturally turned the sky fiery red, akin to the most magnificent glow of sunset, brilliant and dazzling. The sky was a spectacular sight. Countless fiery phoenixes swept in from the distance, leaving a red shadow behind in the air the moment they flew past. It was as though a fire was igniting the sky. These phoenixes were all beautiful and elegant as they enveloped every inch of the air and exerted a powerful pressure on everyone present. It made them aware of how weak they were in front of these imposing phoenixes. Haha, humans, do you see? One of the strongest tribes of our beast race, the Phoenix tribe, has appeared. If you submit without resisting and obediently become slaves of the beast race, perhaps you can still retain a trace of hope. The gorilla proclaimed with large guffaws. His laughter was full of ridicule and contempt. Evidently, to spirit beasts, humans only deserve to be their slaves. Just like how humans enslaved spirit beasts outside a beast province. The phoenixes released another graceful and resounding cry, ringing in the sky and causing the roars and howls below them to appear as though they were responding to the phoenix's cry. Chapter 1597, Face Slapping. It's over. Despair rose on Song Emu's face, and the hope in his eyes dissipated without a trace. The arrival of the phoenixes was the same as a death penalty for the wind-chasing alliance. Sir Phoenix, these humans are too cunning and shameless. I beg you all to lend us a hand. All of the beasts cried in unison. Some of the spirit beasts sent a call of aid to the phoenix in the tribe, reverence and worship clear in their eyes. In contrast, the people of the wind-chasing alliance had already collapsed on the ground, as though silently waiting for the arrival of the god of death. In the air, the build of the leading phoenix was gigantic. Raging flame burned between his wings, and with a flap of his wings, the weeds on the ground were instantly ignited. Terror invaded everyone's heart. It was only then that they understood how small humans were in front of the beast race. Boom. Suddenly, an ear-splitting sound rang, and the leading phoenix was already swooping toward Yun Xiao, charging toward the ground. The originally firm wall of fire was shattered by the powerful and fierce aura in a split second and turned into balls of flames that disappeared from the world. We respectfully welcome Master's return. Bang! The leading phoenix abruptly landed on the ground and his figure gradually elongated, turning into a handsome man with fiery red hair. He deferentially kneeled in front of Yun Xiao. We respectfully welcome Master's return. The vigorous voices of all the phoenix resounded in the night sky, shaking the horizon and lingering in the air. Everyone's expression transformed. For the members of the beast race, surprise turned into shock, and shock turned into fear. Dread enveloped their eyes. In comparison, hope crept onto the originally pale faces of the humans, and they all turned to Yun Xiao and the Phoenix tribe expert before him. Master. If they heard correctly, the expert of the Phoenix tribe called Yun Xiao Master, just now. How was this possible? How could a powerful existence like the Phoenix tribe willingly follow a human as master? Although everyone had an abundance of questions in their mind, no one dared to raise an inquiry. After all, no one dared to provoke an expert of the Phoenix tribe. Yun Xiao, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Luo Feng raised her eyebrows and looked at the man beside her with a pointed smile. I previously said that I came to the 7-province continent to scout for you, and I also told you that some of my power existed inside 7-province continent. Yun Xiao paused and seriously looked at Luo Feng. The Phoenix tribe is the race that I acquired when I came to Beast Province. The corner of Luo Feng's lips slightly twitched. But why didn't you mention the power you acquired was the Phoenix tribe? Yun Xiao's expression contained surprise, incomprehension, and also aggrievement. You didn't ask me. If Luo Feng asked him, then he would certainly tell everything to her. However, she did not ask him, so he never told her the situation inside Beast Province. Luo Feng clenched her teeth. I will punish you well tonight. I will prepare a whip in advance and wait for you, Yun Xiao seriously responded. The expert of the Phoenix tribe felt his world shatter. Mistress claimed she would punish Master, and Master actually said he would prepare a whip in advance and wait for her. Chapter 1598. Let's Get Married 1. They never expected their master to have masochistic tendencies. The expert of the Phoenix tribe's mouth twitched. As expected, powerful people had peculiar hobbies. Yuan Shao coldly glanced at the red-haired man, causing him to shudder. The man hurriedly curbed the smile on his face and turned solemn. Do you need something? The man's voice was as cold as always while his face remained devoid of emotions. His pitch-black eyes were dark beyond words, and one could not see their figure in his eyes. He considered everyone beneath him. However, he had the qualifications to do so. Master, it was Elder who sent me here to invite Master to head to the Phoenix tribe. Yuan Shao's voice was icy. I'm not the master of the Phoenix tribe. Then, he pulled young Luo Feng into his embrace and imposingly declared, the only master of the Phoenix tribe is her. His everything belonged to young Luo Feng. Even if he took over the world, it would be for her. If it were not for young Luo Feng, he would not have conquered the Phoenix tribe. Hence, he naturally gave the Phoenix tribe to her now. The red-haired man was startled, bearing some hesitance. Young Luo Feng raised her eyebrows. Yuan Shao, if I wanted to establish a faction, I would rely on my own abilities. I don't need to obtain it from you. Yuan Shao peered down at the girl before him, his thoughts enigmatic. A while later, his rough and magnetic voice rang, all right. His woman had always been so self-reliant and independent. He should be proud of her, shouldn't he? The red-haired man subconsciously relaxed. They acknowledged Yuan Shao not only because he helped them, but also because of his strength. Currently, this woman's strength remained unknown, so they did not want to submit to her. However, Yuan Shao's following words drained the colors from his face. The Phoenix tribe belongs to me, and I belong to you. I'm the master of the Phoenix tribe, but also a guard that will protect you for your whole life. After their initial encounter, he had cast away his identity as the Ghost Emperor and willingly became her guard to accompany her. Although their relationship had changed already, one thing had not changed. He was still willing to listen to her on every matter and was wholeheartedly willing to be her guard her whole life. The red-haired man's complexion turned paler, and his lips started lightly trembling. Master meant that he was willing to remain the master of the Phoenix tribe, but more importantly, he was mistress guard. Then wouldn't the status of the Phoenix tribe become lower? Sir Phoenix, the gorilla returned to his senses finally, but his mind was still tangled as he impetuously asked, are you mistaken? This guy is a human, how could the Phoenix tribe recognize a human as master? Idiot! The red-haired man snorted and turned to the gorilla, rage in his expression. Who gave you the guts to bully the master of my Phoenix tribe? Sir Phoenix, he is merely lowly human. Swish! The red-haired man raised his hand and fire shot out of his palm. The gorilla's gigantic body flew back with his limbs in the air and incredibly battered. You ridiculed the master of my Phoenix tribe as lowly, isn't that the same as insulting my Phoenix tribe as lowly? This is an unforgivable crime. Someone, turn the gorilla tribe into the most inferior race, strip them of all of their power, and cast them to the frontier. Chapter 1599. Let's get married too. The gorilla's gaze turned from initial astonishment to despair and dazedly looked at the red-haired man's infuriated face. The gorilla tribe categorized as the most inferior race. Stripped of all power, to the frontier. These words were like a hammer, harshly pounding on the gorilla's heart, and caused him to regretfully beat his chest while bawling. His sobs reverberated through the forest and lingered in the air. You want the same fate as the gorilla tribe? The red-haired man indifferently asked with a glance toward the spirit beasts of the other tribes. Plop. The beasts all knelt down in unison from fright and mercilessly kowtowed, afraid that they would share the same fate as the gorilla tribe. The members of the Wind-Chasing Alliance felt like they were in a daze and did not dare to believe what they were seeing. The spirit beasts who were lording over them and clamoring for their lives just now were kneeling in front of them. Their trembling figures were particularly satisfying. Xiao Yan. Inside the crowd of beasts, a pretty woman swiftly stepped out and climbed to the front of Xiao Yan, tightly tugging his sleeve. Xiao Yan, I'm your mother. Hurry and plead on my behalf. I don't want to be sent away. Xiao Yan froze. He looked down at the woman kneeling before him and begging and tightly bit his lips. Since I was a child, you have never given me a smile. Because I wasn't talented and did not compare to my brothers and sisters, you claimed I was a burden. My dad clearly didn't do anything wrong, but you frequently beat him, simply because he was human. If you despise humans so much, then why do you snatch humans to be your husbands? Hence, Dad escaped. I didn't want to see you, so I left with him. All I remember after that is the countless number of assassins you sent after us. Xiao Yan's expression revealed his pain, and his voice was full of emotion. Now, you bring a group of people to kill us. Why should I plead for you? I wish you would die faster so I can avenge Dad. Xiao Yan, don't forget, you are half beast. The blood of spirit beasts flows through your veins. The woman desperately exclaimed, not having expected Xiao Yan to be so heartless. Xiao Yan snorted. Different from his previous innocence, his voice was brimming with hatred. Then I would rather be fully human. It would be better than having the blood of spirit beasts flowing through me. The woman gave up hope. She released her grasp, and her body grew limp, collapsing on the ground. Her face was deathly pale and her lips were shivering. Song Mu, do you still remember me? I am Xiao Qing. Xiao Qi, come back. I'll treat you better from now on. Plead on my behalf, Zhang Yu, I was wrong. Save me. Almost every member of the Wind-Chasing Alliance shared some type of relationship with these spirit beasts. However, their memories with them were too nauseating. So nauseating that they did not want to remember. However, the Wind-Chasing Alliance had become their only hope. They could only grasp at this last straw with their life without relenting. The red-haired man turned to Yun Xiao and respectfully asked, Master, how do you plan to punish these audacious beasts? Yun Xiao did not answer and turned to look at Luo Feng. Seeing Yun Xiao's action, the red-haired man understood and hurriedly looked at Luo Feng. Mistress, please issue an order. Chapter 1600. Let's get married 3. Luo Feng's hand lightly stroked her chin, a dangerous glint in her eyes. This history of the beast tribes is long, and every tribe contains precious treasure. She paused briefly. So if they want us to let bygones be bygones, then I want to see their sincerity. The beast race did not lack intelligent individuals. They understood her meaning as soon as she spoke and hurriedly sent a tribesman to bring their tribe's treasures here. They would rather hand over precious treasures than be evicted. However, spirit beasts like the boar were innately stupid and did not comprehend Luo Feng's meaning at all. A boar blankly asked, Sincerity. Will you spare us if we sincerely apologize? Stupid. An expert from the wolf tribe smacked his fist onto the boar's head. She is implying for you to take out your tribe's treasure in exchange for your whole tribe's safety. So it's like that. Only then did the boar come to a realization. But he felt somewhat disdainful. Humans were truly troublesome. Why didn't they clearly speak their thoughts and instead needed to waste their brain cells? Before those people bring their treasures as a ransom for them, these people will remain here. Huo, stand guard over them. Whoever wants to escape, kill without mercy. Luo Feng lifted her hand to pull on Yun Xiao's lapels and wickedly smiled. Yun Xiao, shouldn't we go to our bed and settle the score? Yun Xiao's lips slightly turned up, and his magnetic voice uttered, all right. He would never say no to her. Inside a spacious room, Yun Xiao silently took out a whip before slowly turning around and holding his hands behind his head, similar to a person who erred accepting their discipline. Luo Feng was dumbfounded. She accepted the whip that Yun Xiao handed to her as she asked, What are you doing? Waiting for your punishment. Yun Xiao's eyes were very serious, so serious that it made Luo Feng's face darken. Bang. Suddenly, Luo Feng dashed toward Yun Xiao and harshly pressed him onto the bed, forcefully kissing the man. Yun Xiao, let me tell you now what my punishment is. In truth, Luo Feng was not angry at Yun Xiao at all. Moreover, she did not ask him to begin with. With Yun Xiao's personality, he did not say anything unless she asked him. More importantly, she did not intend to borrow his power all along. She was unwilling to become a woman who stood behind a man. She wanted to fight by his side and stand at the pinnacle of this continent together. Yun Xiao, after I find Hong Luan, I want to return to Land of No Return and hold our marriage ceremony. Yun Xiao stared at the woman holding him down, a smile rising in his dark, bottomless eyes. You finally plan to give me an official title? Luo Feng's face darkened. Are you truly the same as grandfather and think I'm the type of person who evades responsibility after eating you clean? I was merely separated from you the whole time. After we met again after many difficulties, Hong Luan went missing. Without these friends, how can I get married in peace? She paused briefly before continuing, so, I decided that we would hold our wedding after we find Hong Luan. All right. Not only our wedding, Yun Xiao pulled on Yun Luofeng's arm and reversed their positions. Shouldn't we also begin creating a new life? He began stripping Yun Luofeng of her clothes, littering them onto the floor, and drew down the bed curtains as well. Two panting people could vaguely be seen through the white curtains.